Often, sales to small to mid-sized companies require that you make contact with the president or CEO, who is typically the final decision maker. However, reaching this individual can be a complex process, as gatekeepers such as receptionists, secretaries, or administrative assistants often serve as the first barrier. These individuals are trained to screen calls and visitors, ensuring that only the most relevant matters reach the executive's desk. To navigate this obstacle effectively, it's crucial to be strategic in your approach. One of the most important aspects of successful cold outreach is preparation. Asking to speak to the president or CEO without naming them signals that you haven't done your research. This approach almost always results in being sent to voicemail, a polite but definitive brush-off. According to a study by HubSpot, 42% of salespeople identify researching the prospect's company to determine its challenges and opportunities as the most effective way to make the sale. I often recommend that my clients leverage online tools and resources like LinkedIn to identify key players within the organization. LinkedIn, company websites, and business directories like ZoomInfo or D&B Hoovers can provide valuable insights into the corporate structure. By addressing the gatekeeper with a specific name of the contact you want to reach, you demonstrate that you've taken the time to understand the company. Not only does this respect the gatekeeper's role, but it also subtly conveys professionalism and intent. When cold calling a company, gaining access to a salesperson can be a powerful strategy. Salespeople are often the most approachable and talkative employees in an organization. This is not surprising, as their role inherently requires them to engage with potential and existing clients. They can serve as an open gate to the inner workings of the company and may even provide you with details about the decision-making hierarchy. When you ask to speak to someone in sales, the gatekeeper is less likely to block your call since the request seems relevant and non-threatening. Once connected, build rapport with the salesperson. You might ask questions like, what challenges do you typically hear from your customers? Or how do you position your products/services to align with your customers' needs? These questions can naturally lead to a conversation about the internal decision-making process. Renowned sales expert Jill Conrath, author of Selling to Big Companies, emphasizes the importance of leveraging insider information. She writes, sales reps are often the most willing to talk because they understand the game. They're in it too. Use this to your advantage to map out the buying process and identify key decision makers. If, after speaking to the salesperson, you still haven't identified the decision maker, it's time to dig deeper. Ask the salesperson direct but open-ended questions such as, how will the decision to buy my product or service be made? This question shifts the conversation from the specific individual to the process, which can yield critical information. If the answer you receive is vague or incomplete, follow up with a probing follow-up question such as, then what happens? This iterative approach helps you trace the path of the decision-making process until you reach the final authority. Research by Gartner suggests that the average B2B buying group consists of 6 to 10 stakeholders. Understanding the roles of these individuals and how they interact is essential to tailoring your pitch. Some companies may have formalized procurement processes, while others rely on a single decision-maker's discretion. Your goal is to align your outreach strategy with the company's specific decision-making framework. Once you reach the decision maker, overcoming objections becomes the next challenge. Pricing is one of the most common concerns, especially in small to mid-sized businesses where budgets are tight. Addressing this objection requires reframing the conversation to focus on value rather than cost. A master salesperson once shared a compelling way to handle this by asking the prospect, price or profit, which would you rather have? Price lasts for a moment, but profit lasts a lifetime. This statement shifts the focus from the immediate expense to the long-term benefits of your offering. Sales literature often highlights that successful salespeople are those who can position their product or service as a solution to the customer's problem rather than a commodity with a fixed price. To strengthen your case, use case studies, testimonials, or data to demonstrate how your product or service has delivered measurable ROI for similar companies. For instance, you might share how another client saved 20% on operational costs or increased revenue by 15% after adopting your solution. Different companies require tailored approaches, particularly when navigating interactions with gatekeepers. In some organizations, the gatekeeper wields significant influence over the decision maker, making it essential to build rapport and gain their support. For example, in my invisible fencing business, I would often bring a basket of warm homemade cookies my wife made to the receptionist at veterinary offices. This small, thoughtful gesture created goodwill and opened many doors for me. The key is to treat gatekeepers with respect and professionalism, acknowledging their role as a vital part of the process. Be polite, genuine, and professional in your communication. Instead of bypassing or dismissing their role, involve them in the conversation by saying something like, "I understand you likely receive calls like this frequently, but I truly believe our service could benefit your company. Could you help me connect with the right person?" This approach not only demonstrates respect for their position but also fosters a sense of collaboration, increasing your chances of making a meaningful connection. If the gatekeeper is particularly resistant, consider using a name-dropping strategy. Mentioning someone you've already spoken to within the company, such as the salesperson, can lend credibility to your request. For example, "I was speaking with salesperson's name, and they suggested I reach out to decision-maker's name directly to explore how we could collaborate." In conclusion, selling to small and mid-sized businesses involves navigating a complex web of gatekeepers, sales teams, and decision-makers. Success requires a combination of preparation, strategic questioning, and a focus on value. By conducting thorough research, leveraging salespeople's openness, and employing thoughtful communication strategies, you can increase your odds of making meaningful connections. The process may seem daunting, but persistence and adaptability are key. As sales expert Jeffrey Gitomer states in his book The Sales Bible, the sale is won when the value exceeds the price. Remember this principle as you refine your approach to navigating the decision-making process and ultimately closing the deal. What processes are you using to get to the decision maker?